is the real world.
Are you ready?
I am.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Nice Time John Fowler, and I wrote the music and nearly all the lyrics to Backdrop Generator a long time ago. I think my endearing memories of making Backdrop was teamwork, and that's really what I wanted. When I started writing the songs and started fleshing it out, and I remember thinking something's got to unite this, something's got to bring all this together, and I came up with the bones of this story, and I remember saying to Clare and Charlotte, you know, that there's this idea, I don't know whether you think this is any good, but if we're going to do it like this, I want everyone to contribute and I want it to be a team. And it really was, and that felt great.
I'm Clare, and my involvement in Backdrop was to primarily add backing vocals to Charlotte's lead vocal, and also then as things kind of progressed, I became involved in writing the story with Charlotte and John, and also then to try and visualise this amazing world that we were creating through the music and through the story in a visual way. That was appropriate for the story.
Hi, my name's Charlotte, and I'm, I guess, lead vocalist on Backdrop. So I came into the project as somebody that John got to know through my sister Clare, and he was looking for a singer to work with. And I'd previously been doing a lot of classical stuff, so I was singing oratorio and doing recitals, and I'd done a contemporary opera recently, and for a small opera company it was like a profit share kind of situation, and so lots of really interesting musical projects, and so coming into the studio and singing for John, new material in a style that I wasn't familiar working in was, well, I just thought, okay, let's go for it. Let's have a go. I'm not a pop singer. I'm not a contemporary singer. I don't have any experience in that, but I'm just going to give it a go. And he seemed to be really open to trying something different, and he always listened to my input about the stuff that he'd written and was open to suggestions, and I guess I just ran with it.
My name is Fleur HEMMINGS, and I narrated the story for Backdrop. I was asked to tell the bits in between the music because I had been telling stories probably for about 10 years then. And the stories that I told were traditional oral stories. And then suddenly my sister came along, and my sisters and John, Claire's new boyfriend, sat me down in my mum and dad's kitchen one day, and they said, we've written a story and we want to tell it to you. And my eyes widened, and they told me this incredible story about a world where people are pacified by mass marketing and watching too much TV, and what the government does to try and stop that and stop the powers of immoral corporations from sucking the life and energy out of the people.
Backdrop and my relationship with John are inextricably interwoven. We started making Backdrop at the beginning of my relationship with John, and it became apparent to me very early on just how incredibly talented he is as a musician and a songwriter. And at the time, when we first got together, he didn't have a studio, so we ended up putting a studio in our sitting room. And it was in that studio that Backdrop started to take form. He had an idea for a song, and he wanted somebody with a classical voice. And I said, "Oh, my sister's a classical singer." And so Backdrop really started with one song, and then developed into this mammoth monster of a project from there.
The moment the story was told to me, it just absolutely exploded in my imagination, and I really felt it. And I can remember that after they'd been telling it to me for about half an hour or something like that, I just nipped up to the loo, and I just found myself sitting on the loo crying about Apolline, crying that she was such a creative person. She was such a linchpin for everybody, and everybody would gather around her in her beautiful treetop apartment, and they'd sit around this incredible pool, and she'd put her fingers in the water, and she would be able to bestow wisdom for everybody. But little did she know she was being manipulated by the company, and just the idea that people can be around you and get so much from your wisdom, and for you to hope that you are helping, and yet to not know that you're being manipulated in that way. And it's just such a sort of tragic thing, and I really, really felt for her.
I think Backdrop is probably more relevant now than it was when we made it.
Merda! Who is doing this?
I don't know. We're not real, Ray. We've been made by then everything we do or say. Haven't we got free will?
Just a chance to be really creative, really doing unusual things. I mean, I'm not saying it's Sergeant Pepper or anything, but it was good fun. We had some real good fun doing it.
What it means to me is a fantastic creative time with people that I care about, my sister and my sister's husband. So those are all really good memories. But, there's nothing better than being able to make music with people. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that. And the way that when you're in you're making music, time stands still. You're completely at peace. You're completely happy. You don't want to be anywhere else or do anything else. I mean, that's why musicians do it, because it might not always yield the biggest salary, but it makes you feel that life is meaningful. And so that's what that artistic pursuit is all about. And I think probably the other arts are similar in that.
I just can't get to the end of Backdrop without crying. And I know it has that emotional effect on Fleur with the story. I know on Charlotte and John, I don't think it's just the investment of time. I think it's the powerful story as well. There's a really lovely sort of love story element to it. And I love the fact that the hacker and the and Little Quantum, those themes weave in throughout the songs and throughout the concept album to get to the end. I love the fact that the creatives, even the digitally imagined creatives, take the decision to destroy their world rather than have it corrupted.
I feel really proud of Backdrop. As I say, it was done on a shoestring, but listening back to it, I think there's so many ideas going on, and there's a lot of energy, and I think the concepts are great. I think it's a massive piece of work, and I'm really proud to have been involved with it.
Who was Backdrop made for?
That's a really good question. I mean, it was made for us. It was made for us. It was, John and I used to have lots of conversations about the state of the world and where things were heading. And I think for him, it was a real, it was very cathartic. I think Backdrop was made because it could be made, because we found ourselves in a position where we were young enough to do it, and we had the drive to do it. I don't think we had any idea when we started how prophetic it would be, and how, although it was a comment on how we felt society was going. I don't know. I think we made it for ourselves, actually.
This is the real world, a place where people are willing subordinates of mass marketing. A monoculture, tube-fed by multinationals. One such corporation is Gordax. Today, Gordax was reported as being a fraction ahead in the race of the greedy. It seems everything is spattered by the endorsement, design profile and logo of Gordax. From the trainers you wear to the machine you cast your vote on. The people follow the Gordax convention and lead an ape-like life of imitation. There's an illusion of choice, of value for money. The people have faith in Gordax. They're happy. They must be. They're surrounded by every product they could ever want. And this is the real world.